what does it take to go from Instagram side hustle to 70 countries globally? How do you build Nigeria's first hair lab when you're not a scientist? And why would you go human hair free when that's what everybody seems to want? Remi Martins did all of that, and today she's breaking down the decisions, the risks, the successes, and everything in between. Hi, Remi.
Oh my God, that's so cliche.
No, but hi.
Hi.
Okay, well, I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get to it. So tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the meat of things later.
Okay, amazing introduction, by the way. Thank you. So my name is Remi Martins. I'm the founder of Texture Science Labs. We are a hair lab and a manufacturing company creating science-based hair products, science-based hair consumer products. And right now, our current mission is to build the future of hair extensions that is zero human hair with like Rexi lab made hair.
Nice. Thank you for that. So let's start at the very beginning. You were the head of digital marketing, have had a successful career. What made you start an Instagram page about wigs?
I mean, the reason why I started an Instagram page was because I was a marketing girl. And at the time, I just got into like my big girl role and I started having more money to spend on like hair extensions and all of that. And one thing I realized was the kind of things I really liked at the time, textured extensions that really matched my hair. I always had to buy them from the US,
Yeah.
right? And I started thinking that, if I want this and I'm always having to source it out, this was 2018, definitely there were probably people like me. But then again, the marketing girl in me at the time was like, slow down. You don't really know that for sure. So like, let's test this out. So I started an Instagram page called Brown Girl Nigeria. And it was just like pop culture inspiration for like hair, beauty, just for me to like validate this idea that I had in my head. And then people would just start DMing. Like I post a picture of like Tiwa Savage in like hair. And people are like, oh, do you have this hair for sale, right? And that was just going on. And I realized that, okay, there are other people like me out there. And this is something I should probably do.
Yeah. So when did you sell your first wig?
So probably sometime in 2019, to be honest, because even though I had created this validation that I needed, I was still hesitating a bit. Like, should I do this? Should I do this? And I remember this is my friend Ibrahim. It was like, if you don't go and post whatever you want to post on that page. And yeah, like that was when we did it. And immediately we actually did that. It was just like a pre-order system at that point because people were just like willing to even pay
in advance.
And, and like wait to like get the product.
Nice. That's actually very interesting because I wouldn't have thought that people would be willing to pay in advance at least back then. Now, yes. So what do you think helped with like building some sort of credibility early on?
Yeah, so as I said, people were actually already looking for these things, right? So it wasn't even that, I wasn't really looking for customers. It was like people were searching on Instagram and they find product like, oh, I really want this. And I'm like, oh, you might have to wait. And they're like, okay, obviously not everybody did, but there was like a sizable amount of people.
Okay, and then when did you quit your full-time job? When did you know that, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go all in on this.
Same year, to be honest, because we kind of like grew
really quickly.
Yeah. People were just like finding the page. People were always finding the page. And in my head, I sort of like set the benchmark for like, if we did this, I would be able to like quit. And the more I started to see people, the way people took the business seriously, it started to align with like my own long-term vision. And I was like, oh, if we did this, then I would quit and like go all in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what would you say? Because I think the Regirl community is massive. Like, and I think you've done an amazing job with building community that people resonate with. So you're full-time doing this now. Most beauty businesses stay local, like, right? So they only ever produce for Lagos or I guess Nigeria, but you are doing 70 countries. How?
So when I started this business, I feel like sometimes the mission and I feel like sometimes the vision you start with matters to like how you execute.
True.
So in my head at the time, it was Black women, right? It was Black women and it was like women who wanted this. I didn't necessarily think localized at the point. So I think it also influenced the kind of post that we did. For like the first 2 years of being like an entrepreneur, I did everything myself, the post, the the content.
Yeah.
So the kind of stuff that we posted generally like gravitated towards people who just saw themselves on that page.
Nice.
So it didn't matter where they were,
Yeah.
right? And very quickly people would say, oh, I want to buy this, but I'm in the US, I'm in Netherlands, I'm in like all of this. So at that point, I was just like selling to everybody I could sell to and figuring out things later. Like sometimes I even like take orders from like a country and I'm like, wait, how do we even ship here?
And how do you navigate that? Like logistics have been a nightmare, I think.
Yeah, it definitely was, because at the time I feel like online businesses in Nigeria have grown so much.
Yes.
But I remember like very early on, it was like very hard. Like even payment is not even something that you. I remember like a customer literally drove hours to do Western Union to pay up. Yeah, it was that insane.
Wow.
So I think for me, I just ask people questions. Like I DM people. I have friends who have worked in like companies that do like commerce, like selling laptops and all of that. So I'm like asking like, how do you guys do this? Like what's the channel? And we just figured things out as we went, to be honest.
Okay. And then what role did social media play? Because you said a couple minutes ago how it was just you in the beginning, so you did everything yourself. What role did it play in your growth, right? So you started with Instagram. Would you say that starting, like going the Instagram first channel and then, e-commerce from there helped, or?
Yeah, I mean, social media is everything. It's everything for us. Like we're still like a social first business. We just launched in beauty arts like a few months back. So we're still
I saw the wigs there this weekend, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're still like very D2C, direct to consumer. So social media is everything. Like I always say that I feel like people do not appreciate social media enough. For me, I just do not see like how we could have done all the things that we did without social. So working in digital marketing, I definitely have worked with a lot of customers, helping them with social media. So it was already something that I could do well.
Yeah.
If anything, that was like my main strength, aside from also being obsessed with hair.
Yeah.
That was like my core strength. So I had to do well.
Yeah. So, and how would you say you built the community, from 2018, 2019 up until now? Like how did you build that community?
Yeah. So I see Natural Girl Wigs as my first stint into entrepreneurship, right? So regardless of like what experience you have working in corporate or working with other businesses, there's really nothing like doing your own thing and like all the context that matters in that. So I definitely know that I took a lot of lessons from Natural Girl Wigs because it was a very niche business. It was like textured extensions first and then into different styles. So the way consumers behave, the way people have very specific needs influence the kind of post we would do, influence the kind of like articles we would even write. Like I wrote a lot of articles about like how to care for hair, how to do all of these things. So it attracted a different set of customers. And so when we started Regirl at CSL, I knew that I had to do things differently as well, because here we are saying that, oh, it's for all women. We just want to show up. Right? So it's a different scope of learning. And one thing I've also learned as an entrepreneur is you can't know everything, right? You have to be learning every day. Like the best entrepreneurs are people who are consistently being students, and that's something that I hold myself to. Like I always want to learn about something. And so with our community at Regirl, what we've done is we have the picture of the kind of woman we want to, reach. And what does she care about? Like what pop culture is she tuning into?
What does she care about? I'm curious to hear this, actually.
Yeah. So I think she just wants to show up, to be honest. I always tell people that our customers are not like the deep hair bundle girls.
Okay.
Right? They're not like the girls are like, oh, is that from India? Is that from Vietnam? What they just want to show up. They see hair as a fashionable piece, like outfits. Right? And they want to like transition, like transformations, but without like the stress or without the thinking of like how it all comes together.
Nice. I really like that. At what point did you realize I need to stop importing? I want to start manufacturing my own hairline.
So there were definitely many things.
What triggered it?
Many things, right? I think what actually triggered it the most was probably 2020.
Okay.
Because again, I was doing natural raw wigs, right? We had a lot of like customers. We were selling things, were doing well, but there was also like a lot of challenges in the back end with like QA issues, which is something that all hair vendors go through. By
Yeah.
the way, nobody really talks about that. But it was just like consistently always, some issue with the products. There's no like proper product audit trail for like
Yeah.
what happens here, how does this get done, and all of this. Sidebar, I've always wanted to build a big business, right? Even though I was doing hair, I wanted to build a really big business.
Yeah.
So in 2020, we had a viral moment during like the whole pandemic thing, and our hair was going viral on like the US Twitter and all of that. So we had ordered like this huge batch, which was going to like fulfill the demand that we were having at that point. And then maybe over 70% of it came, and it was like a bad batch. It was really bad. And there was like various issues from like the smell to the length to the curl patterns. And we were doing like very deep fussy textures. And it was just like the same issue, the same response from like suppliers where it's like, you don't really know what the problem is.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you get like a partial refund, but it doesn't really answer anything. And at that point, I was already having like so many thoughts, like, how do I want to like build a big business here? I always know that I wanted to go deeper into the supply chain of like how all of these things work. I was also watching a lot of like material science, physics YouTube channels with my partner. And I was just curious on like, what could we do?
Yeah.
Another thing at that point was we're also selling synthetic hair at Natural Girl Wigs. And I noticed that like a lot of our sales was coming from there. And primarily, customers who would order human hair extensions would also order these products as well, as long as it came in a style that they really liked and it was manageable. So I had like all of these, like sort of like a matrix of things. And I'm like, you know what if we just created like our own fiber? What if we created like a new standard? At that point, if I wanted to build a big business where I'm going to, create this industry, I could do something I could really stand behind. Because every time I had meetings with suppliers doing human hair, I always had more questions than answers, to be honest. Like there's supply chain issues, there's ethics, like, is this even really human hair? So it's like all of these things. And because I started gaining more knowledge into like how fiber material development was, I felt like it was something I could take on, which was ridiculous, by the way.
Well, you did it.
I did.
You did, and you're doing it.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that makes a lot of sense, wanting to just, for lack of a better choice of words, like own or have more control over the supply chain, right? And I guess answering the questions that you had about ethics and is this sourced properly and all of those things, right? So what does it take to actually build a lab?
Ooh.
Like what's involved? I'm sure it's expensive. I'm sure like there's a lot of work, but like just give us like some bites. Like,
okay, so I think the first thing is you need to know what the end product that you need to start from, like what you want the product to look like. Whether you're doing dry hair or you're doing like wet products, like I'm talking if you're doing hair care, we are dry hair because it's like extensions. So you want to know like what the end product looks like, the kind of technicalities that are involved in doing this, which by the way, nobody's going to tell you because the industry is like very gate kept. Like we literally paid people for training who just didn't show up and decided that, you know what, we don't want to share what we know. So
I'm sorry, what?
Absolutely. And so I think one of the key things that I had going on is I didn't even know a lot. Because you know how they say when you know so much about an industry, you just like, you know what, it's absolutely not for me. So obviously because what was driving me was a lot of curiosity and passion, I just didn't really see what I couldn't do, right? So I was just going. And so if someone is starting this, I would say first of all, know what the end product you want to create is, because the verticals in the hair industry, there's human hair, there's synthetic. Like for us, we wanted to create like a better for you synthetic, which is its own lane with lab made hair. So I started thinking of what kind of formulations would we need, right? What kind of like technical expertise are we going to need? What should I be learning? What should I be reading? What kind of team should I be putting together? And what is that going to take? And how much money do I need to do that? So that I started thinking in that direction.
Well, you did it because now it's live, like it's a real product, right? So you created and developed your own fiber technology, right?
Yeah.
So I have two questions. Why did you do your own? And then also like how? Like
Okay, so I think I'm going to start with the how first,
Okay.
right? So right now, there's actually there are other infrastructures for like synthetic hair that has been developed. There's Canacolon, there's like
I know that one.
Futura, there's like all of these things that power like a lot of the hair brands that we know.
Yeah.
And so I started reading like a lot about them. Like, remember I said during the pandemic, I was watching like all of this physics channel and
Yeah.
all of that. So I sort of like created my own kind of curriculum first to even like learn all of these things. And then so I went on LinkedIn as well to see people doing these things, to see the kind of topics they were writing about, to find if I could find people locally, like professors who were teaching polymer in uni. I did like all of these various things for like 2 years.
Wow.
So before I started the idea for like TSL in
Yeah.
2021, 2022,
Yeah.
we didn't launch until 2024. So it was just like me figuring out all of these things. And you know, when I said you need to know what you want to create first. So I had like a performance benchmark, and none of the things in the market was going to give me, could assemble that thing. And because again, for me, this was more about like creating a supply chain infrastructure.
Yeah.
I wanted us to have our own. So the way the hair industry currently works, everyone who is doing things at that level built their own infrastructure. And so if we're going to do this with the performance requirement I had, nobody was going to lend us their own capabilities, right? So we had to do that. And for me, it's like, if we want to do this, we might as well do that now. Yeah.
I have a very dumb question to ask, please. So you know how you mentioned that, you know, there's different hair, I guess, technologies, right? So there's Canacolon, you said. And I know that because I've seen that on like different hair packs. So is there a world, and is your goal also is there a world and is your goal also to create your own technologies such that, for example, I wake up today and say, you know what, I actually want to start selling synthetic hair. I come to you and say, hey, can I use your technology?
That's the goal. that's the real picture.
Oh,
that's the real picture.
It just clicked now as you were talking that,
that's the real product here.
I love it.
I mean, not like Regirl isn't a product.
No, I know, but like
the idea is to have like more Regirls.
Where it's someone can call hers something else. And
yes, and it's like leveraging our technology and
well, that's very amazing.
I
think it makes a lot of sense to not only want to own the supply or have more control over the supply chain for yourself, but then you're also, you know, creating it such that anybody else can then build on top of it.
Yeah.
That's proper infrastructure.
It is. It is.
But you know, what really tickles me, and I'm just like, how did this babe go from like in 2020 think, yeah, I'm going to create my own? Like, I know you said the story, but like I really want to understand, like, how did your brain just go from like like, because it's, and then you're not the scientist, are you?
No,
exactly.
I probably am now.
But like,
no, absolutely.
So like, how do you go from, yeah, I'm selling textured, you know, textured hair, you know, it's human hair. We also have a synthetic line, to then say, you know what, can I curse? Fuck it. I'm going to create my own hair technology.
Yeah. Yeah. So
do you have two heads that we can't see?
No, but I went crazy a bit.
Well, tell us that story, please.
So I was thinking driving here, and I'm like, I absolutely wasn't thinking as well as I thought I was thinking. Because to be honest, like I was just seeing things and I'm like, oh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do that. Well, I'm just going to call this person. I'm just going to read about this. I'm just going to like, I remember the first professor that I talked to about this, he was like, why do you want to do this? And I'm like, why not? Like, nobody's really thinking about these things for us.
Yeah.
And I want to just like go off a tangent a bit and talk about how the current industry produces, right? So we have human hair extensions, which is like the gold standard currently, sourced from human hair, sometimes a blend of it, sometimes, you know, and the problem there is a lot of inconsistency because of like how opaque the industry is. People don't really know what is going on there, right? And so what happens is a lot of times it eats up the middlemen. They are the ones buying the bad products first, and then the consumers are also buying the bad products, which is why we have a lot of like what I ordered versus what I got, which even the suppliers and vendors also often deal with. And then we have like traditional synthetic hair, which is made for you to wear once, or there's breaking down issues. There's also like the sanitary issues for both the industries, by the way, not just even with synthetic hair. And so for me, it's like I thought about like how the lab made diamond industry is, and it's like there was a time where it's such a why are you wearing that?
It's not real.
And exactly. And now it's like duh, right? And all the things and all the moments that made that was because people took decisions, right? People made decisions to say, oh, there's value here. Oh, there's an industry here. Like, let's build this thing. And so for me, with Rexi, what I wanted us to do was for us to engineer material that could deliver performance with zero human hair. Zero human hair for me is because it's just not a supply chain that you can trust. You don't know what you're getting, right? And there's also the ethical part of it, which I think it's absolutely insane that people say things about blood diamonds, but we don't have the same. But I agree. I get it. And for me, it was like, how could we deliver this performance, but also create at the best sanitary level that we could? Because when I was trying to learn about this thing and taking courses, I saw the videos from where hair was being produced, and that's insane to me. And so even in creating, it's like we could create this synthetic hair that is lab made, but also ensuring that every part of that process, from like ingredients to materials to the finishing, was done as if we were creating skincare. Would we want like the products we're using on our body and our face to be produced in this sort of level? So at the baseline, Rexi is a product that's been developed with you in mind, with your scalp, with your hair in mind, with like how the modern woman uses hair products. Like it's on our cheeks, it's on all parts of our body, but it's not sanitary.
So my mind is just like, like seriously.
So for me, at the baseline, like let's even create something better.
So another question, and sorry that I'm everywhere, because I think my mind is actually opened up to like exactly what you're building, right? So in tech, right? So we're always looking at your line of code and the code, your code base, blah blah blah. With Rexi, obviously it's a formula, right? So that is like you created that formula yourself, and like
I created that with other people.
And it's made 100% here.
Yes, the formula, the fiber drawing and all of that, is done here. And then obviously we have like manufacturing partners as well for like materials, and then we do all of that, development.
That is really amazing. I don't think. I'm just really like, that's amazing. That's really amazing. And you're the first Nigerian. What's the right way to say it?
So to be honest, before we said lab made hair, nobody was saying lab made hair. And that's not even to say that we're the first to ever do it. But again, it goes back to the obscurity of the industry. People don't really want to say the processes, right? So we have like lab made hair factories in like Russia, because like their hair technology is like really next level. So they do like lab, but people don't call it lab made hair. They just want you to believe that this thing is something we just took from like someone's scalp and then we got it to you. But like there's actually a lot of formulation that goes through, like that this product goes through to get the performance you want. So like our real unique thing is the formulations that we've done to deliver the feel, that even though we've not blended this thing with like human hair, even though like none of that is going on, we still have like the feel, the performance that it's able to do that is very close to human hair. So like that's the real like proprietary innovation for us here.
I have another question. So like with calling it lab made hair versus what people called it before, synthetic hair, was that intentional?
Yes.
And do you think that's helped with even like the perception and the marketing and all of those things?
It's actually interesting that you asked this, because we had a moment where I said, you know what, let's just call this thing synthetic hair. Right. But I'd also then thought about it that I was just allowing opinions and maybe reactions from people who weren't really our primary audience to blur the lines of my vision for this thing. And it's like, yes, it's synthetic, right? But it's lab made hair, right? Obviously, diamonds that are made in the lab are synthetics, right? But they are lab made, because what has happened is they've gone into the lab, they've gone into engineering with the primary goal to create something that performs like diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And so all of these efforts that we've put into engineering, me having to study this thing, me working with people, we're not even like in the dry air industry, but like also as curious as I was to say, you know, let's do this thing together, us going into the lab with this formulation, us building this infrastructure that we've managed to build here, we deserve the title that we've given this innovation that we did, right? And so now I've actually seen other hair extension brands come to say, oh, this is lab made, this is made in the lab. And that's fine. And for me, the future is women are not prioritizing whose head did this come from. They're prioritizing, oh, what is the lab standard? Like, what lab was this made from, right? I think that's the future. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do with Rexi, to create like the future of hair extensions where lab made is the standard.
Yeah, I really like that. That's super powerful. You're basically making your own category.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So switching gears a little bit, right? So when, you know, Rexi launched and we, because I'm part of you now, we're pushing this product out. What was the, I guess, first reaction to the product, right? How did people respond to it? How did consumers respond to it? And yeah, just talk us through what that has been like.
So it was actually really good, more than I expected, to be honest, because again, the marketing girl in me, when I was building out our content pillar, I had like brand DNA. I knew that we're going to have to do consumer education,
Of course.
which is very like, I knew we were going to do consumer education because that's something that like innovation companies have to do. You have to explain this thing, how it works and all of that. But I remember like our launch video, which was the video where I talked about what we've been building, and it sort of went viral. And people were like, oh, this is what we want. This is what we've been looking for. But there were also people that were really curious. Like, is this not just synthetic hair? Is this not, what is this? What does it really do? And so the reception was actually better than we thought, because I was just ready to just continue talking about this thing, what it means, why we did it, like what does it do for you, and blah, blah, blah. So it was really good. But then we also had a lot of challenges because, again, like I was an importer selling and trading hair, right? And I'm going into this person building like an innovation hub and like a manufacturing company. The muscle you need to build that is different from everything that I've done. And even though my ambition and vision and what I thought the future could look like was pushing me, there's the practicality of like what it actually takes. And so we kind of like botched our launch because we had like all of this demand. We couldn't really meet up. We also had like a bad batch. People were like not happy with us and everything. And for me at that point, it was like flights or so, but I think we kind of like handled it well, because I personally like emailed everyone, did phone calls, talking to people about these issues, asked people that, oh, if you want a refund, you could get a refund while we are fixing this issue. And it was so interesting that probably 90% of people were like, no, it's fine. Like, we would wait, because people, you know, bought into like the vision of that. So I would say that it's been a journey, obviously still getting people to adopt, but we've actually done so well for a company who is doing this new thing. And every time I read like our post-purchase form, because like I'm very big on things like that, and most of the reasons why people pick us is because they actually like the idea. They're curious about it. They've seen it on somebody and they're like, oh, this hair actually looks nice, right? Because, I mean, there's that part. Like, hair extension is something a lot of people want to see, right? So there's people saying, oh, I've seen it and it actually looks good and I actually like it. Or, you know, I saw what you guys wrote and I want to learn more about this, so I'm buying this. So if I was going to score us from like what I thought, I would say we've passed the benchmark, but I'm also very aware that we are like in day one and there's also going to be so much to do.
What's been the hardest part so far?
Just building the muscle to be an industrialist. If I thought about it, I definitely wouldn't.
Really? You wouldn't do it?
No, I wouldn't have. I'm happy I did, but if I knew what it took, what the day-to-day looks like, the kind of muscle I actually have to build, operation lines, managing people, having supervisors, learning, studying, cash flow dynamics. Because like when you're importing and, you know, whatever, like the kind of cash flow dynamics is different. Where you're just like buying goods, like your money isn't trapped in production lines. It's not trapped in like the kind of storage you need to have to actually fulfill demand. It's really different. So I am really starting to learn again. So like the last 2 years has really been just doing ad things every day, getting myself into like zones when it comes to knowledge that I didn't even think I would need to know.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned in this journey is you have to know enough about the things that you do not know.
I agree.
You have to. So you can't just say, you know what, my thing is product. My thing is I don't really know about operations. I don't really know about turnover, cash flow, like all of these things. So I had to just like really get into all of these things, and it's created a new kind of animal.
Yeah. Do you have a co-founder? Or
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
So
And
how do you guys split? Like, so who does what, or who oversees what? So obviously, like, you're the marketing person, I can tell.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
To be honest, these days I'm more of the product person.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm more of like product strategy.
Okay.
Strategy is marketing as well. Like,
yeah.
but is operations.
Okay.
Like everything of like how we operate, making sure that production is done well, making sure that we are forecasting properly, making sure that we have in excess. Because another thing about manufacturing is you need to actually have in excess to actually function, to be able to meet demand, which is sort of tricky. You kind of have to be in excess, right?
Yeah.
And we also have like multi-layers of things. So for us, we have like the material bit of things, we have the processing bit of things, we have the production bit of things, we have the formulation bit of things. So all of these departments sort of like have to work in sync, and there has to be like a program for like how that functions. So honestly, like, it's doing almost everything.
Okay. That's beautiful that you have a co-founder and you guys like kind of play to your strengths. So if you could go back to the girl that started the Instagram page, what would you tell her?
Wow. You're about to be on a ride, man. Like, enjoy it, but it's going to be a really long ride, and you probably won't recognize the person you've become.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, because like I was having fun.
Oh, fair enough.
In marketing, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Like I feel like I generally like have very good marketing instinct, so it didn't even feel like work to me. Right? Think of like Emily in Paris. You know how she's just like flying on that show, and you don't even know marketing is a job. It looks like fun.
Yeah.
I think that was like the wavelength I was on, but now I'm like really a serious person.
Okay, and if you could tell like any beauty business owner, any beauty founder that's trying to create their own product, what's the one thing that you would tell them to just like, everything else, so that's fine, but this particular one, you have to do this, or you have to know this?
You need money. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, say more. Okay.
I think that definitely when it comes to like creating a product, we underestimate how much money is involved, especially like in today's world. There's a lot of money involved in product development. There's a lot of money involved in like having your own space. Like I told you, we're just like launching into beauty art, and we have like other things like on the pipeline. The money to even like activate things, it's not like you're not just like, oh, we just spend this small money. Like if you want to do things, there's money involved, right? I think also the idea of knowing how much you need and the skills you need at different stages as well, because obviously I'm saying you need money if you're trying to create a product, but if you're trying to sell a product, you don't necessarily need a lot of money. I didn't even start with money, right? I think just knowing the skills and what you can do with the little you have at the different stages, just having like a clearer picture of that and talking to people. I ask a lot of questions. Like I'm the kind of person emailing people and saying, oh, you built this company. Like I like
learn more about this.
Yeah. I like to talk to people, especially in industries that are not like my industry. For example, our neighbor at the HQ is into manufacturing as well, but they are doing like drinks. Right? It's so interesting how many things we have in common when it comes to like the production lines and manufacturing. So like when we got in, I went to him, I'm like, oh, these are all the things that we are doing. What part of your business might be valuable for us? And then we just started talking, and it's helped us like so much. I email people building things in like Australia, where I feel like they've had to create like their own lanes, they've had to create things, and I'm like, how did you do this? Like, what were your challenges, right? And I would say also being comfortable about money. I know I'm going back to money, but I think that especially for women, we don't really like to talk about money. We don't really want to go deep into money, especially if you didn't come from like an industry where that was,
Yeah.
So maybe let me not say women, but I would say
Just,
that
yeah.
maybe women working in finance, they know a lot about money. But
Yeah.
just like female entrepreneurs, I saw a video of a my grade recently where she was like, you're in business to make money. So the profit lines, like you need to start looking deeply into these things. So I'll say get familiar with like money, how profit is actually being made
Media.
in your business, and what
Yeah.
are the things you can do to like strengthen your margins and like all of these other things.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that, especially the money part. I really like that. And what's next for TSL and Regirl? Like, so because you talked about, and this is me trying to guess now, because you talked about how you spent a lot of time building the formulation so that it works well, right? Because hair touches your face, your
Yeah.
scalp, blah blah blah. Would you ever have your own like wet
Hair
right?
products,
Wet hair
absolutely,
product.
absolutely.
Okay.
And so, I mean, all of these investments that we've done and we will continue to do is for us to basically own the hair infrastructure, right? Like the biggest players right now in Nigeria, in Africa, for Black women generally, for women generally, let me even say, they're just like men who came from maybe like engineering backgrounds, finance backgrounds, and everything. And I want to be like an owner in that space. So think about like anything science-based, beauty-based, because again, we built some sort of like infrastructure that can power like other things at TSL. So for us, definitely we want Rexi to be for everyone who wants to create style, whether that comes in form of like the thousands of hair brands we have in Africa or globally.
Yeah.
But we also want to take everything that we've learned to like other verticals in hair and beauty.
Nice, nice, really like that. And the last question would be, when you look back on your journey, going from the Instagram page to now TSL, what's been the biggest thing that you did not realize that you did not know until you actually knew it about yourself?
About myself, that's really interesting. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay. Two things. So there's nothing I can't do.
Purr. I know that's right. Did you hear her? Nothing that she can't do.
Honestly, I recently did stand-up comedy. That's insane. Like I literally have a video where I was in some place in Lekki doing stand-up comedy. There's
Did they
nothing
laugh? Were you funny?
Yeah, like even the comedian guys were like, oh, I should follow them on their shows and maybe like learn things.
Did you actually write your own like?
Yeah, so I think that I really write good jokes. I write generally, like, and I think I really write good jokes. And so comedy is one of those things where I'm like, if I wasn't doing all of these things, maybe I could do that. And I was like, you know what?
Let me try it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think that there's nothing I cannot do because again, like I don't know anything. I'm like a art student, right? I don't know anything about sciences and all of that. So for me to have like read all of these things, do a lot of formulations on my own, like even like our formulation partners, like I come to them with a lot of things like, oh, this is what I did. If you tell me this is not possible, I'm like, no, like this, yeah, you know. So I know that I can do anything. It's just a matter of, do I really want to do this? So that's one thing I've learned about myself. The second thing is that I struggle with people. And that's something that I've been dedicating since last year, just like working on, just making sure that like I can get better at like people's relations. Because even though I like chat, I mean, you know, people person on the outside, I think when it just comes to like managing the complexities of like the demands from like how everyone operates, like I'm just like, you know, just leave me alone. So that's something that I have accepted and I'm now like working to improve.
Okay, so you shared a lot, and thank you so much for coming on and being very honest and real about just the journey from Instagram to Regirl, TSL. Just to wrap this up, when you think about the journey, the process, just everything, what's one lesson or one thing that you'll point to or could point to that's made all of this possible?
I think it's the kind of like exposure that my mom probably afforded me, like even in like the littlest ways. So I always tell people that when I was young, like I didn't really go out like or do things with like other people, but like one thing that my mom always showed me was what it was possible. And it used to come in from of like maybe just like the magazines and the people I read about. And I remember reading like this Genevieve magazine piece on like Dora Coinley and like just like her journey, like and how she was talking about being awarded by Bill Gates Foundation and all of that. And it just showed me that like big things can happen from small places. So especially with women, I was exposed a lot to women just doing things. And I feel like in a way I moved in the world like someone who could just do things.
I like that. I think that there's a very clear, is it path? Like, so like knowing that that's how you think, it makes sense because again, how does anyone go from an Instagram page to saying, I'm going to create my own hair technology, right? And then you said it yourself and you said it best where you said, there's not anything that you can't do. It's just a matter of, do I want to do it? And I think that's very, very powerful.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom.
Shout out to mama. All right. Well, thank you for coming on today's episode. And I'm really appreciative of your journey and obviously going to be cheering you on from the sidelines. That's it for today's episode. I hope that this was very inspiring I hope that this was very inspiring to just everyone. Hearing Remi talk about how she decided to build her own hair technology, how she's building infrastructure for the hair industry is nothing short of inspiring. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also like and follow our Instagram page down there. And anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, share and drop any comments. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.